Hey everybody, it's Kate, the West Coast Paper Crafter, and you are joining me for the fourth project in my Sketched Butterflies card class at home. We will be making this card, which is, if I can get it open, a book fold design. It's very simple. The hardest part is getting everything cut out and ready to go. So I'm just going to flip the camera around and we will get started. All right, I'm just going to adjust so you can see my workspace. And then I will go through all the measurements with you. So to start, we've got our card base. Now this is peach pie, and it is cut at 4 1/4 by 11. Now on the 11-inch side, I've scored this at 5 1/2 and 6 3/4. Right, so 5 1/2, 6 3/4. That is our card base. Then we've got pumpkin pie. This is 4 by 4. Another piece of 4 by 4 cardstock in basic white. That will be for the inside of the card. I've got some Unbounded Love Designer Series paper. This is 3 7/8 by 3 7/8. A strip of the pumpkin pie cardstock. This is 1 by 4. And this is another strip of the Designer Series paper, and that is 7/8 by 3 7/8. All right, so to get started, the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to glue these two strips together. And these are going to go, this layer will go on the left edge of our card front, just in front, or I guess just to the left of that second score line. Okay. So we've got our score at 5 1/2 and then 6 3/4. So this piece is going to go in between those two score lines. So the first score line, 5 1/2, that's where the card base is folded. And then the second score line, that's going to create our book fold. I'm just going to fold this right now and burnish it a little bit with my fingers. So the card's going to open like that. All right, so I'm going to glue this strip onto the left side of the card front. On the left side of that second score line. Okay, now once we've done that, I'm going to open up our card, and in between the two score lines, I'm going to put a little bit of tear and tape to catch the edges of the ribbon that I'm going to put along the left side of that card front. Right, I'm just going to pull the backings off the tear and tape. I've got some peach pie ribbon. And I'm going to put one edge in that tear and tape. I'm going to turn my card over and make sure I have that in the middle of my layer. And once it looks right, I'm just going to fold that other end over, and it's going to catch on the tear and tape, like so. Now, we're going to glue the book fold together. So you can either use your Tombow or you can use tear and tape. I'm going to use some tear and tape, but either way will work. If you use Tombow, you just need to make sure that you give it enough time to get tacky and dry, otherwise that book fold might pull apart on you. Oh, I lost the edge of my tape. There we go. So I'm going to use tear and tape And I'm going to put quite a bit on because I want my book fold to stay together. All right, now I'm just going to pull the backs off, all the tear and tape. And then I'm going to fold that in on itself, and I'm going to give it some pressure so that tear and tape does its job and sticks. So now our card looks something like this. All right. I'm going to grab a little bit of my linen thread, and I'm going to thread that underneath my peach pie ribbon, and I'm going to tie that in a bow. When I like to just adjust the size of my loops, I like to put my finger down on the knot and put some pressure on it. And that way I have a little bit more control over my bow loops, if that makes sense. Once I have it where I like it, then I'm going to trim my edges just a little bit. Okay. All right, so next up, we're going to layer our designer series paper onto our pumpkin pie layer. And this is going to go on the front of the card. And before I glue that down, I'm going to add my sentiment in the bottom right corner. And for this card, I'm going to use the thank you sentiment from the Sketch Butterfly stamp. I'm just going to use Tuxedo Black ink. All right, now we can go ahead and glue this layer to our card front. I'm going to line it up so it is even with that first layer that we glued onto the left of the card front. And once I have it where I want it, I'm just going to apply some pressure and make sure that glue sticks. Okay, now I've gone ahead and I've die cut out some butterflies from the Sketch Butterfly die set in basic white. And we're just going to add these to the front of the card. I'm just going to put some glue on the butterflies where there's a little bit of space. These are pretty delicate. And then I'm going to hold that down and let that glue set. All right, I'm adding one more butterfly in the corner here. And then I'm going to grab some of my 2024 to 2026 in color shimmer gems. I'm out of the peach pie, so I think what I'll use is, I'm just going to use the Pretty in Pink, and I'm going to add a few gems into the corner of this card. Okay, now the last thing I want to do is add a layer to the inside of the card. I've got that stuck on me. There we go. So I've got this little group of butterflies, but I only want to use one in the corner. So I'm just going to ink up one butterfly, and I'm going to stamp it in the bottom right corner. And then I'm going to add this layer to the inside of the card. All right, and that is it for our fourth and final project in the Sketched Butterflies card class at home. I hope you enjoyed making all these projects, and tune in next month to see what I'll be coming up with next. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you all have some happy crafts.